All right, everyone, welcome back into another fantasy golf video. Going to be breaking down my favorite bets here for the Charles Schwab Challenge. Let's go in and get into it. So the toughest part about this week is going to be obviously figuring out what to do with Scotty. Really across the board, Scotty is just an elite option. He is going to be the player that we all think is going to win. The issue with that is his odds. His odds are not going to be good. You basically have to bet him at like 2.5 to 1 to win. And so I do think there is a way around betting him instead of doing that number. We could potentially bet him to have the first round lead and win. And I'll get into that in a second. So you guys might wonder, why would I bet the first round lead and win when I can just bet him to have the first round lead? That is a good question, because at 12 to 1, you can bet him to have the first round lead. That's great. But most of the time, first round lead is ties. It's not typically like it's been for us the last couple of weeks with Xander, where it's not ties. And actually been pretty fortunate thus far this season to not have that many first round lead ties, which has been very awesome. Very lucky though. And so if you are looking to bet Scottie Scheffler, I think one way we can go about doing that is to have the first round lead and win. And so this is also going to be at 12 to 1. He's going to be the golfer most likely to have the first round lead. I know Xander was last week slightly, but Xander's not in the field, so we don't have to worry about that. I think wire to wire might be asking a little bit too much. At the same time, that's not a terrible bet as well. I think if I'm betting on Scottie Scheffler, that's the route I'm going to go this week. Whereas some of the other weeks where we weren't getting as bad of odds for him, it kind of made sense to still potentially outright bet him. So it does really feel like Scotty or the field. Now for me, after Scotty, I do feel pretty comfortable about Collin Morikawa winning this week. So Collin Morikawa is someone last week I think compares to a lot of how Xander felt for me at the Wells Fargo Championship. And what I mean by that is with Xander, I didn't feel like he lost the Wells Fargo Championship. It really felt like Rory went out and won it. Now, sure, Xander probably didn't have his A game, and then he really brought it at the PGA Championship. Collin Morikawa really didn't have much go wrong for him on Sunday. Just nothing went right for him, specifically on the putting green. He just couldn't make putts. Now, that could be frustrating, but it did almost feel like he just needed to get one birdie to get his round going. And unfortunately for him, that birdie came on 18. But everything has been trending in the right direction for him really for the past 2 or 3 months or so. Really at the Masters, it kind of switched over. We started to see him get better. And then the 4th place finish last week, I think, is huge. So now for his past 5 starts, he's had at least 3 top 10 finishes, which is pretty electric. Has had some pretty great results of this tournament. 4 straight make cuts with a runner-up finish. Things seem to be trending in the right direction for him. And so when we look at the 9-to-5 golf betting sheet, we are going to notice for him, we're not getting the best odds, but still 12 to 1 is something that I would take. 12 to 1 odds I do like for Collin Morikawa. And so again, what I would encourage is if you're not betting on Scotty, I think Collin Morikawa would be my next favorite bet there. From that point on though, is where it gets difficult to me, because really when we look at every single other golfer in the field this week, I could make a case for a lot of them to be good outright bets, which I don't feel like I can do that. And that's kind of the uncertainty that we have this week. Now, typically speaking, I only want to target golfers that rank top 7 or better in the 9-to-5 model. Those are the players that tend to win more often than not. I mean, obviously they're going to be the best players in the field. This week I might go a little bit different. Like Harris English is 8th in the model. He's been someone that's been trending in the right direction. Wouldn't be surprising to see him when Chris Kirk, the data really likes. I don't want to be on him this week. That is something that I'm not going to be doing. We'll get further on. Dietrich's not a bad option. Aaron Ride, the data likes, but where I think we can really start is going to be Mark Hubbard, and then the data really likes Lucas Glover. So if anyone that's confused by why maybe Lucas Glover is popping as much as he is, my data measures both safety and upside. So when we see no missed cuts at the course or at the tournament over the past 4 years, that's huge. When we see 6 straight made cuts and very good recent form in the field, that is huge as well. And so the fact that he has a lot of safety to him on paper, stat fit wise, nothing concerning stat fit wise. He is coming in checking all the boxes. And so that is where my data is saying, all right, this play is really strong on paper in terms of both safety and upside. This is going to be a better track for him as well. And so we can get him at about 66 to 1. So there's going to be 2 I touch on in just a second here. But I want to call it, when we look at the 9-to-5 outright tags, we look at the best outright bets. We are getting a decent amount of good outright bets this week. 4 good outright bets on paper. And so if you guys are confused as to how this works, is this is taking the past 2 years data of winners, how those golfers measured out. And this is taking those by the 80th percentile. So golfers that were in the 80th percentile in those winning stats from 2022, 2023, and then we put that into this week. So these golfers all meet that 80th percentile of those data points. So we got 4 here. Scotty, obviously. Tony Finau is interesting. I don't know if I can get there. He is a great stat fit. Form has been a little bit spotty, but has shown upside at this tournament, so it wouldn't be surprising to see him have a spike week. Steve Kim is someone I would be on, and probably Chris Kirk is someone I would be on. Had both of those two not missed the cut at the PGA Championship. At the same time, it is a major. That was a tougher track for them. it wouldn't be surprising to see those two just go right back to how we've seen them play. So those are players that really pop. And then possible outright bets, these are going to be golfers that are 70th percentile. So Collin Morikawa is in there. Keegan Bradley is going to be someone I mentioned. Lucas Glover is really popping up there as well. And so like these are all possible outright bets we could be on. And then long shot only bets. So these are golfers that only meet like the 60th percentile. And I do think it's worth noting that with Jordan, last year in this tournament, heading into it, the concern was that he was a little bit banged up. There's like a slight injury. I didn't look into what it was. Prior to that, he had 4 straight top 10 finishes. So I can kind of overlook that result last year. At the same time, he's not playing that good, so I don't know if we want to be on that. So we could look at Mark Hubbard as a long shot only bet. He was at 100-1 earlier on this week. That has since come down because, well, that was just a bad number that was out there. So we do have a lot of decent options this week is the point I'm trying to make. So let's go ahead and get into some of those outright bets that I like other than Scotty, wire to wire, or first round lead and win, and then other than Collin Morikawa as well. So yeah, looking at Lucas Glover, guys, you can get him at 70-1 on Bovada. I don't know if people use that still, but 65-1 on FanDuel, 66-1 on BetMGM. Really good numbers for a guy that, you know, recently has still won over his past 20 starts, has won 10% of the time. Now those two, like his wins came back to back. I get that. And now that's almost, 9 months ago. At the same time, he does really pop as someone that we should probably be on in terms of, having a chance to win. The odds are giving him about a 1.5% chance of winning. That's why we are getting really good numbers on him, although he's won in 10% of his past 20 starts. In terms of like some that could be in contention maybe on Sunday and then closing it out, Lucas Glover has been there recently. And so the fact that he's coming in, checking all the boxes, looking like that good of a play on paper, that is highly encouraging to me. And so he is someone that I do think we want to be going out of our way to target. He's a great long shot bet. Don't have to go too crazy with it as well. Obviously 60-1 is pretty awesome. The other one is going to be Mark Hubbard. This number has come down a lot already. So now it's now down to 80-1. Started at 100-1. And this is kind of where I typically like to wait later on in the week to give my outright bets so that I can give you guys the best information possible. There's very little times where this occurs, where we're losing 20 units on this bet. That barely occurs. And so that's like, this is the only instance where that's kind of a negative, I would say. At the same time, 80-1 for a guy that has been really popping and has been trending in the right direction for quite some time is huge. So again, I like to target both safety and upside. So when he's popping up top 10 in the model and also top 5 in recent form rank, that's because he has made 14, or I think it's 16 straight made cuts now on the PGA Tour, which is obviously awesome. Has had a third place finish mixed in there. Basically, all of these finishes have been around top 30 or better as well on average. So really strong there. Also, he has not missed a cut here and also has a top 10 finish. So everything is sort of coming together. He is also checking all the boxes at extremely great odds. Currently resides in Texas as well, which I think is kind of a bonus cherry on top. So everything is kind of coming together for Mark Hubbard this week. And so it wouldn't be surprising to see that actually come to fruition where everything does come together for him to get a win. Now, it would have to be a little bit more random. Like we do have some studs in the field, but he has casually been a stud. He was on top of the leaderboard last week at the PGA Championship. So those are two kind of longer shot bets that I really like. And then getting into another one, Keegan Bradley is someone that, a lot of people probably don't like to be on. He's kind of a certified choke artist. But what's kind of been the theme thus far this season? Keep putting yourself into contention to win. Keep setting yourself up to win. And it could eventually happen. That's been the theme this year. And so we look at Keegan Bradley, really going to be a good stat fit. So what we're looking at this week, effective scoring, that's that 9-5 stat. Basically, golfers that are not going to hurt themselves and are basically only going to set themselves up for success. 15th in the field there. 7th best in the field in ball striking. 11th best in the field in good drive percentage. Need to be accurate this week. And effective birdie to bogey ratio, which is bogey avoidance and birdie to bogey combined as a stat, 3rd there. So 7th best stat in the field. Recent form wise, 40th in the field, but he has been someone that has been, pretty solid, -2 bad starts mixed in there. Other than that, pretty solid, good enough specialist, really just strong play across the board. This is one of those situations where I think it could just, again, come together for him. Don't mind him. But at the same time, part of the issue with a bet like Keegan Bradley this week is that it does kind of feel like I'm trying to find a bet with him rather than like this one coming to me. So 55-1 bet MGM for him to, have the outright. Maybe a better bet for him would be maybe top 20, 2.2-1. And actually, let's just take a peek at the top 20 odds for Lucas Glover and Mark Hubbard. And so basically 2.2-1 for all those guys. And those are all bets that I do think are solid. Obviously, we want at least 2 of them to get the top 20 to really have a good payout there, but that might be the approach to go with. And maybe you can even bet them to make the cut, maybe put them in a parlay. DraftKings is not giving us odds for Keegan Bradley to make the cut. Maybe on FanDuel, you do a parlay for that. Not terrible. You can get 0.44-1 for Mark Hubbard to make the cut on DraftKings. That seems like I don't want to say free square, but that seems pretty darn good for a guy that has that strong a form. pretty awesome that we're even getting a number on him to make the cut on DraftKings. So I really like that bet there as well. And so just to recap before we land the plane here, 4 players that I think are going to be good outright bets this week. Scottie Scheffler, you can do him 12-1 to have the first round lead and win, or wire to wire at 18-1. Don't mind that. Collin Morikawa, I really like the odds for him, 12-1. That seems pretty solid across the board. I think things could come together for him to finally win. And if you're not betting on Scotty, that would be the bet I encourage the most. And then I just really love the lines that we were getting on Lucas Glover and Mark Hubbard compared to how they're projected to play, 2 players that really stand out. If you want to bet them together, parlay to first or to make the cut, you could do that instead. But I do think there's a good chance we could see maybe more of a long shot bet win in the week after a major. So far, only 4 players I like. Tony Finau, Thomas Dietrich, Harris English, Billy Horschel are all players that I could potentially get on as well. Typically, I like to have 7, but because I have Scottie Scheffler this week, this might be it for me betting-wise. And that's where maybe we turn to more top 20, top 40, and they cut bets instead. But that's going to be all for this video. If you guys want access to that sheet that I just showed you guys, using this, the cheat sheet or the betting page, you can find the best odds per sportsbooks by visiting 95sports.com. Those tools are all available for just $10 a month. Thank you guys for being here. Good luck this week. And as always, let's keep cashing. I mean, guys, just real quickly though, I probably should have called out that hit Xander first round lead and win last week, 30-1, second straight week. And then Xander won last week for us. So good week last week. Let's hope to keep that up. All right, now that's going to be all. Thank you guys for watching. And as always, let's keep cashing.